Hey all, welcome back. This is Monkey D, and we're going to be looking at this 6.9 billion account as we're trying to develop it. Today we're going to be taking a look at what we have for PvP generals. So let's dig right in. So I kind of went through it and started these and took a look at them already. So here's what we have for our current PvP generals, and we're going to start with the wall general. I think that's the most critical one to get going with, and let's see how he's built. So he's William Marshall, and frankly, as a T1 mounted T1 trap style keep, the honest reality is that it doesn't particularly matter what general you use. That said, I do think it's important to think long term and make sure that you do have a quality general that you develop for the long term. Some people will never develop beyond a T1 trap, and that's okay. But if you do plan on building and developing past that point, getting a general that is worthwhile in the long haul is a good idea. And William Marshall is. William Marshall is a solid general available for most free-to-play players. He develops very well, and he may not be the best in the game, but he's very solid. So, all right, let's dig in. Start off with, he's 1 red star, full max specialties, along with the 5th specialty of battle tested, which is not fully built, but getting pretty close. It is at level 81 out of 100 total. And once you get to these upper levels, it gets pretty expensive for runestones to get there. And you can see it's all in that 4th runestone. Once you start eating those up, it's real expensive. So be careful where you spend those. He's currently at 1 red star. Let's actually see if he has copies. Does not currently have fragments, so this could be a very tricky one to build. He has 3 steps along the way, but if he has no fragments, getting into the 3rd, 4th, or 5th red star is going to be incredibly challenging to do. And you can see that he does bring in a lot of siege and range attack, which are great long-term as you develop as a player. So a little bit of mounted and ground HP, which are also very important in the long term. So, but this is a T1 trap. And as a T1 trap style keep, what you really care about are your flat refines. This is where it all comes down. Everything else is bonus. So when you're talking about a T1 mounted, I believe the max flat mounted is the equivalent of roughly like 5,000% once you get them all maxed. So it's a pretty substantial amount of improvement to go to all flats for that one. So he has a range troop attack flat here. We'll work on changing that one out and getting something better there. He hasn't upgraded these 2 pieces of armor, so we'll do that as well. But his mounted flats for defense look outstanding on both pieces. And he has an advanced refining as well on his boots, pretty high at level 34. On the helmet, advanced refining is up pretty high as well, and all flat mounted HPs, and good ones too. Let's take a look now at here. We're looking at 3 really solid mounted flats and a siege HP. This is one we'll have to kind of dig into and make a decision about what we want to end up here, but I think we'll switch that over to a mounted flat as well. And then finally, your range troop attack flats, and this 130% range attack. That's a amazing refine, and I do understand why you kept it. And in this case, and I'll explain a little bit later, I might keep that one. I think that's a pretty valuable refine long-term for this player. And it's pretty costly to try and do a new one for the gyms. Let's go take a look at his dragon now as well and see what he's looking at on that dragon. And all mounted HP flats and excellent refines there. These are all fantastic gold refines. So No changes that I would make to anything here. Potentially look at, I mean, even his talents are pretty well developed. He's got plenty of dragon stones. So if he has the potential to get another dragon and build that up, he can do that. You can see he's not done his ground yet, but we'll get to that in a bit. So as far as his wall general goes, I think he looks very, very solid for a wall general. And from the standpoint of a T1 mounted, why the fuck does this stop? God damn it. So as far as a T1 mounted trap style keep and a defense general, this looks quite solid to me. Small places for improvement, but very good baseline. Now, long term, as you develop, there's a couple of different things to think about, and we'll go into those in a moment, about who you use as an assistant general. Now, your assistant generals don't bring in any particular flats most of the time. You know, lead Naomasa, really good on range, on mounted troops, attack and HP, but no flats at all. And the only way you get the flats on your assistant general is if you can fully open his third specialty and be able to add that battle tested again. And that battle tested will add additional flats. As you can see here, all troops attack 500 flat. So there is a way to get a little bit more there, but not a whole lot. Now, while we're thinking about defense, let's go do a quick check on a couple of other things. And let's go take a look at his academy and see where he's at. So I would presume all of his basic academy is maxed here. Of course, yep. Excellent for military. And this is, I'm only really looking at this for the flat aspects because there's quite a few flat refines in here at certain places. His defense, this is primarily related to traps and certain defending troop buffs. So, but those look fully developed. Subordinate city. Looks like he's got some room to develop more here, but let's take a look at some specific things and see where he's at. So through the top sections, he's got it all kind of open. He does have here subordinate city, in-city attack, defense, and HP all maxed. So that's excellent. If you are really doing a lot of attacking in battlefield and soloing, these survival are absolutely essential. If you're not sending your sub-cities out of your keep very often, and you're keeping them in your keep, the only time those, they matter, but you don't tend to get your sub-cities cleared unless you get zeroed. So you don't need those quite as much, but those are important in terms of keeping those additional troops in the sub-cities so you get the debuffs from them. His advanced in-city defense, HP, and attack are all good. And then the super final in-city attack. Let's take a look now at military advance. And looks like all fully maxed. Not the training stuff, but that's okay. Come back to those when you run out of everything else in your academy. Okay. And what about his defense now? Looking pretty good. A little bit on the traps left, but that's okay. A little bit left on ground HP here and ground troop defense. A little bit left on siege here. Some more archer tower stuff. A little bit more ground. And a little bit more siege available with where he's at. So a little bit to do there, but not too bad. Now in the first video I mentioned a little bit about gold, and this is where it becomes really important to look at. This one research is 168 million gold. And so sometimes these are not very valuable to do. Okay. So in terms of the basics from a flat T1 mounted type of account, this is a pretty well-built account, and not a whole lot of cleanup to do from the defensive side. The main thing to do here is going to be on his troops. And this is where I think there's some weakness, and it's a hard balance between the type of team you play in versus what troops you need. Our particular team is a pretty aggressive battlefield team. We've made challenge top 16 a few times, and we're looking to improve and hopefully get into challenge top 4. We've had 6 or 7 players make All-Stars Major. We've had quite a few players make either juniors or the elite. And so we play some pretty big keeps in Battlefield, and we really try hard not to lose points anywhere and to have any soft hits. And the ones that hit me right away is this is really heavy on cavs at the top end for a trap style keep. And so you can see he's 2.4 million cavs, 2.7 million siege. Even when you look at his, top tier ground, he's running 1.5 and 2 million top tier ground. Those might be even a little bit high. I would want a lot more top tier, especially T13 range. I'd want to get a lot more of those built up, and your T12 range even more than what he's got, as well as finishing out his T1 mounted. But I wouldn't want this many cavs, and I wouldn't want this many siege across those top tiers for him. A siege solo will easily clear him, and we can't pre-rain every keep. And so a siege solo will take him for all of those top tier siege and have a horrible points trade. The same thing for a lot of those top tier cavs. You've got to ghost those fast, and that's a lot of troops to ghost. So I might look at dismissing a lot of those. And it sounds painful to do, and he's going to lose a lot of power if we do it, but he'll become far harder to hit and get any points off of if we do. So most of his troop layers you can see are 1 to 2 million. And then once we get down to the bottom, there's a strange grouping here of 30 million T5s, T5 catapult, 13.5 T4s. And then we finally get down into your T1 and 2, and now we're looking at 1.3 million T1 mounted. And so my targets are going to be to build this T1 mounted up to 2.15 million. And I'd also like to get this T2 mounted up to about 500 million. And then I'd like to get all of these range layers a little bit better, and probably up to like 4 to 5 million on most of those range layers. And in particular, these upper tier range layers, T11, as we get up here, T11, T12, and T13. And I'm going to target getting probably T12 up to about 12 million, T13 probably up to about 6 million here. And then probably just bump this up to 2 million. So that's kind of probably the tentative target. I haven't done a resource count yet to look at what it's going to take to get there, but that's the target, and we'll see how long it takes to build that up.